Hi there, Wally here. In this video, I'm gonna share with you some best practice about the satellite installation. So all the time I get pings about, hey Walter, how do you install your satellite? How do you do your basic configuration? This kind of stuff just to put your satellite up and running pretty quick because I have to do this all the time, every single day. Different scenarios, different customers, I need to do different approach. So yeah, in general, I don't do this manually. I have my automated way, but the main idea of this video is to share some best practices with you guys, and then let's take a look. I hope you enjoy, and let's jump to the video. So guys, let me share this flow with you. I will put some points. They are very well detailed in our official documentation, but let me share real quick. The first one is install the base OS. So yeah, prepare your machine, RHEL 8, the latest version that is available. So we have everything in our documentation about hardware requirements. We have some memory stuff, some storage stuff, some additional information. I will share the link with you guys. This will also be in the description. But yeah, the initial step is to install your base OS. During this installation process, I'm also including the registration process. So I hope that at the end of the installation, this machine gets registered against customer portal, okay? And be able to access some repositories. Next, it is time to install satellite. Once we have the machine already set up to access the repositories, we can just enable the repository and install the contents, okay? Install satellite application, the product. And by here, when I mean install satellite, I mean install the packets and also execute the satellite installer, which will allow your satellite to be up and running at the end of the day. So the next one is importing the manifest. Wally, what is the manifest? The manifest is the component that will allow you to sync some content. So let's suppose that you have one subscription. That subscription will allow you to consume content from base OS or from satellite or JBoss or whatever. So we need this information, okay? And basically, you download this manifest to your machine, and then you'll be able to upload this to your satellite. In this video, I'm not going to pass through all the steps to create the manifest, but I will also share some information of how you can check and create and play around with your manifest, okay? Once we have the satellite up and running, the manifest imported, we can enable and sync the repos that we are looking for. In this small scenario, I'm gonna play with some RHEL 8, then basically base OS, AppStream, and the satellite client. Satellite client repository is the repository that will provide some support packets to your clients. So it is really recommended to be synced as well. Next one, let's create the content view. So basically content view is the place where we can froze the information, like my satellite is syncing every single day, but I would not like to keep sharing all those packages to my clients every single day. So is there a way to create some frozen place where I can put my machines over there, and once I download the new package, I create a new environment, I can test, I can do all my checks, and then okay, now I'm comfortable to move it on. Yes, this guy is the content view. We'll see more in details in a few seconds. Move it on. Activation keys. So basically activation keys is the way that we have to register the machine with no interaction. So if you like to register your machine without the username and password, definitely you can use activation key. So activation key is very powerful. There are different features that we can combine with activation keys. And this is one point that I share all the time. This, for me, this is a requirement, okay? And definitely this will help us to automate your workflow. And finally, create a global registration. Global registration was added in Satellite a few versions ago, and this is pretty handy, pretty useful. Long ago, just long short story, we used to install a Catelo CA consumer package. If you are aware, you know what I mean. If you are not aware, don't worry. There is one package that the main idea was to deploy the root CA certificate on all the clients. And then we can use the activation key. Okay, But look at that. At this moment, we can just deploy that CA and register that machine. And that's it. We cannot do anything additional. And with the global registration, there are a bunch of additional steps that we can do in a single shot. So I will not spend too much time here. I will show this in action. But yeah, definitely this is a nice feature, and I truly recommend you to go on this way. So just doing a recap. Install the base OS. Once you have the base OS, install and register it against the customer portal. Install Satellite, and by that I mean install the product and then execute the command to install and deploy the application. Import the manifest. This will allow you to sync contents. Enable and sync repositories. Now we can pick the repositories that you like to sync and move it on and sync it. Then create a content view. The content view will be that frozen place that will keep like the record of the available repositories and packets to my content host. And by content host, I mean all the server registered against Satellite. Create the activation key. Activation key is the way that will help us to automate the process. I don't have to type username and password all the time when I'm trying to register a content host. I can use my activation key. And finally, create the global registration. New feature, cool, pretty nice, pretty amazing. Maybe if you are familiar with Satellite, you're saying, well, Daryl, something's missing. There is a lifecycle environment. Why didn't you add the lifecycle environment? Lifecycle environment, it is a little bit more advanced, and it is not required at this moment. So I can create a different video explaining more about lifecycle environments and in combination with all of them. But basically, lifecycle environments should be between your enable and sync repos / creating the content view. But again, we can work on that later on, okay? Let me show you this page. This is doc.redhat.com. This will direct you to this documentation page. Let me bump a little bit. All the products that we have at Red Hat will be available over here. For Satellite, you can click on S, and then you see Satellite is the first one, Red Hat Satellite. You can click on documentation. And at this moment, the latest version is 6.14. So feel free to pick the version that you are trying to install here. And there are different links, upgrade and management, server administration, host administration. The one that we're looking for is installing Satellite, this one. I like to open like this, single page HTML. This is gonna bring all the information that we need, okay, in a single page. And from here, as I mentioned before, we can expand all of them. There are some system requirements like the base OS, the architecture, the memory, CPU, so feel free to keep this in mind because this is very important. If you are trying to install a Satellite with something less or not listed on this point and you start facing issues, once you open a support case with Red Hat, they will ask you, hey, do this one, follow those steps. Once you have all of them, try again. If the problem is still around, then we'll be able to move it on because those are required. You have to achieve all of them. Same for storage requirement. Storage requirement will give you an idea about the storage area, how much space you need in your server. So this is pretty useful. So once you have all of them here ready to roll, let me move it on to installing the Satellite server. In installing the server, we can scroll down, we can see some ports for firewall stuff. But here's the deal. We have our machine. So let me show the server. This is the server, subscription manager identity. You can see the server is not registered yet. So subscription manager register. You can see over here the subscription manager registered. This will ask your username, the password, and at the end of the day, we'll end up registering your server like this. So now we have one EU ID for this server. We have the name of this server, and this server is already registered at this moment. Okay. There we are. So registered, all good to go. Next, we can move it on and attach the subscription. Are you familiar with simple content access? So let me show one thing to you. Subscription manager is status. If you see something like this in your machine, content access mode is set to simple content access, you don't need to assign a subscription. For sure you need a subscription, but you don't need to assign like this. Like here, we have a command that is going to looking for the infrastructure for satellite, and after that we need to assign a subscription like this. So when using simple content access, you don't need to do this. So I'm gonna skip. This is not gonna hurt at all if we run, but no need at all to do this process, okay? At least not on this server. So basically simple content access, I'll be able to consume content, as we can see here. This host has access to content regardless of the subscription status. So if I run this command, for example, I'm not consuming any subscription. However, if I type yum repo list -v, I should be able to see some repositories. So if you are facing the same, like if your output of status is this one, you don't need to assign the subscription as well, okay? We can see the whole information from base OS and AppStream. Awesome. So let's move it on. Configuring repositories. I can copy this one. Basically, this one will disable all the repositories that you have. Let's suppose that by any reason I enable some repositories as beta or testing or high availability or whatever. We don't need them at this moment, so we can disable all of them. And in a sequence, I can just copy this one. Basically what this is telling us is, hey, subscription manager, let's work in repos module, let's enable some repositories. And the repositories will be the base OS, the AppStream, the satellite 614 for RHEL 8, and satellite maintenance for 614 for RHEL 8 as well. Okay, so let's copy. This is the output of the disable, so this passed through all of them and disable. Let me press some enters. Now we have the same command as we saw in the web page, and let's press enter. Great, buddy. Now I can see that we have the base OS, AppStream, satellite 614, and also satellite maintenance 614, all of them enabled on this system. If we execute yum repo list -v, we should be able to see all of them, or the verbose information regarding to all of them. And there we are. So we have the maintenance, we have satellite 614, the number of packets, the size, the date, so for all of them. This is great. So for RHEL 8, we have some modules working with DNF. So we can copy this one, paste, DNF module enable. We are enabling one module called satellite EL8. As you can see in the warning, there are some warning about conflict in Ruby and Postgres. So definitely you can accept and we can pass. There we go. So you can type yes or just Y and press enter. Once we enable the repositories, now we can install the package. So what should I do? Firstly, let's update the machine. If this machine is on the latest version, that will be fine, no package at all. If you have some new packets, we recommend you to update all of them to the latest minor version. So look at that. For this server specifically, I have some new packets to be updated, including kernel, which means once I update this one, I'm gonna restart this server. If you have any package that does not require reboot, so no reason to reboot as well, okay? From here you can accept just the key, the GPG key. This will be just for now, and for the next package the installation will pass through, no problem at all, or no request at all. Here we are. At this moment we can see that the installation is done. So just to recap, we passed through the first step, okay? The next step will be install satellite. So let's proceed. If we take a look, we have this command dnf install satellite. I can just paste this one. This is gonna grab all the information that is necessary to install the packets, and at the end of the process we can type yes and press enter, or if you wish you can do something like this, -y. So this is one way to automate this process, because this will collect the information and will start the installation automatically, okay? Sounds awesome. Now the package was installed, and if we come back to the documentation, we have this one here. We know that we updated the kernel, so let's do this. Let's reboot. Let's wait for this machine to be back, and then we will proceed. Okay, we are back with the server. Let's return to our documentation. There is the cronid recommendation. I truly recommend you to install if you have any time server in your environment. I will not do that right now. Installing the SOS package, this is pretty important, assuming that you eventually will request some help for Red Hat, and then the support team will require or will need something to take a look, to check in your logs. So SOS is the tool that will help you to collect this information and upload to the case as well, okay? I'm not going to install this one at this moment. And here we can see configuring satellite server. At this moment we are going to use satellite installer. Definitely you can just run satellite installer, but what I like to do is this. Let's copy this line. You can get an editor of your preference. You can paste, and here we have some information. What are those information? Satellite installer. The only required argument here is the scenario. I have to say if I'm installing a satellite server or a capsule. I can pass a lot of parameters, okay? One of them is the organization. I would like to set this satellite as Acme. This will be the name of my organization. In general, if you have a company, if you work for a company and then would like to put a company name over here, this is the place, okay? And here's the location. Eventually we have some customers that will say, hey, this is North America, or this is Latam, or this is eventually the name of the place where your company is based. So let me put here New West. And here you can put a space as well. We have the admin user. So let me remove this one. I would like to keep admin as well as the standard admin. If you just omit this information, the user admin will be used by default. And here is the password. So let me put here my password. I hope that you find any password stronger than that, but let's use this in our scenario. So at the end of the day, what will happen is we are going to install satellite. Okay, this will be a satellite server. The organization is Acme. The location is New West. The user will be admin, and the password will be my password 123. So let me copy all of this. Let's come back to the terminal, and then you can press enter. So what will happen is now we have the product installed, but satellite is not up and running yet. This is gonna prepare everything, we'll set up everything, and at the end of this process your satellite should be up and running with some basic features. Just one attention point here, guys. When using this editor, I noticed that this character was change it like that, and this was causing problems. So be aware of the editor that you're using, because this should be the double quotes instead of anything else. Okay, so let's copy this one, let's paste, should be double quotes like that, and then we can press enter. And now this is working as expected. So at the end of the process, once again, your satellite should be up and running with no problem, no issue at all. Alright, after a few minutes, we can see this output. So this was the command that we executed before. We can see some stage over here, and this is the final result. Success, we can see that satellite is running on this path. This is my local information. I have this entry on my local name resolution environment. The username is admin, the password is mypassword123. If you like to install a capsule, eventually I can create another video talking about capsule. If you like to know more about capsule, how capsule works, let me know in the comment, and definitely we can set the best approach that you're looking for, some information, some additional information. So to install a capsule, we can just execute those commands, and this is using like the capsule variable with the name of the capsule, some additional server. This will generate an output that will allow you to install the capsule in an external server, okay, in a second server. But for this one, we know that this is up and running on this link. So let's copy this information. Let's open a new tab. Let's paste. There we are. Once there is no certificate in this client yet on my machine, so it's just asking me, hey, do you trust this guy? Yes, I will accept and continue. So we know that we set the user as admin, as we can see here. This is the password, mypassword123. mypassword123. Then here we are. So we have the organization Acme, the place or location is New West. Let me bump a little bit the size of this one. Let me just show one thing here on the CLI, and then I'll maximize that screen. 3 commands that will help you a lot. Foreman maintain service status -b. This is the first one. So basically this command is going to pass through all the services that we have on satellite that are part of satellite, and we check all of them. And they will tell you, hey, this is okay, this is okay, this is okay. If one of them or all of them are failing, we will be able to see in the final row as well. This is just a summary. If you like to see like the complete view, you can just remove the -b. And this is going to tell you all the outputs of each system, CTL service or each service. So we can see this one here, and there are more, so you can just scroll up and see. Basically this is the output of system CTL, status, and the service name, okay? But again, -b is pretty much what you need, because this is going to tell you if everything is working fine. The second one is hammer ping. So hammer ping is the guy that's going to check some endpoints, the status of your satellite, and will check the most important components, I should say, with the response time. So for instance, we can see here all the services, database, candleping auth, Catelo event, POP3 content, foreman tasks. All of them, you can see the status. The status is okay to all of them. This is the expected output. And we can see also the response time. So eventually, if those response time are high, then this is an indicative that maybe this machine is under fire or we are facing some problem, this kind of stuff, okay? But here we can see that everything is okay, up and running. So this is the second one. Let me show you the third one, foreman tail. Foreman tail is one command that's gonna give you the output of different files. And this is nice because eventually we have different components. And what I mean by that, if you take a look, we have production.log from var log foreman, we have the HTTP logs, we have different logs here. So these will be collecting information from different sources and will give you an idea about your application if everything is okay. So you can definitely use grep and looking for by error or something like that. But yeah, this is something that is very useful, okay? So our satellite is installed. Everything seems okay. If we take a look on this flow once again, like the install base OS is done, install satellite done. The next one is import the manifest. I'm gonna maximize this screen. And in order to see the contents or the subscription, I'm gonna access this tab. But Waldiro, why do I need the subscription or the manifest? Let's wait for this page to load. Okay, as you can see, there is no subscription at this moment, okay? The way to enable repository is over here, Red Hat repository. So once we click on Red Hat repository with no subscription, this is the output that we have. Like there is no repo available because there is no subscription or manifest telling satellite which repo should be visible for this user, okay? With that said, let's import the manifest. Let's hit browse. I have the manifest over here under this folder. So basically you can just select the manifest and hit open. And then satellite will load this manifest automatically. So we just need to wait for this process to finish. This is pretty quick. And here we are. The manifest was imported. We can see this subscription. This is my employee skill. But eventually if you have like a virtual data center, physical, virtual node, there are different kind of subscriptions that you can import on your satellite. Will be something similar. Once you have the subscription loaded, let's come back to this page. Let me just refresh this one. And then there you go. Now I can see different repositories. If I just click on this to expand, I can see and also collapse. So if we take a look in our track, we were able to import the manifest. So again, we install the base OS, the operating system, register against the customer portal. After that, we followed the steps in our official documentation to install satellite. We got satellite up and running, and now we just imported the manifest. As the next step, let's enable and sync the repositories that we need. Nice tip here. You can click on this toggle, and this is gonna show you the most common and used repos. So we are looking for RHEL 8, AppStream, and base OS. I'm looking for to get the version 8, which will bring all the packets from the latest version. So I was able to enable AppStream, and this is not the one that we're looking for. See that? We have EUS. Yeah, this is the one. Base OS. Same here. RHEL 8. Then you can click on the plus sign. This will tell you here that the repository was enabled successfully. You can see on the right side the repositories that are enabled. And there is one more that I mentioned before, that was satellite client. See that? Red Hat Satellite Client 6 for RHEL 8. So for this one, there is no version for 8.1, 2, 3. We have just one version for RHEL 8. You can definitely click on this. Well, there I'm going to sync RHEL 9 in a sequence. Should I enable this one for RHEL 9 as well? Yes, once we start working with RHEL 9, definitely you can click on this plus sign and add it. Okay. For now, we just need this one. The Red Hat Satellite Client, the RHEL 8 base OS, and AppStream. And this is one common question. What are satellite clients? So long ago, we used to have a different nomenclature, a different name for this repository. Yes, that was a few versions ago, and I believe on Satellite 6.11 maybe, we just changed it to Satellite Client, okay? So now that we have it, you can just click on Content and Sync Status and sync from there. My personal recommendation here, click on Sync Plan. There is no plan at this moment. And what is sync plan? Sync plan is the process that will sync the content often, how often you wish. So my recommendation is Red Hat. We can create with Red Hat name. I like to set this daily. I like to set this 3 a.m. And then I create like a task, okay? This is a sync plan. This is like a task that will be executed daily, 3 a.m. in the morning. And what this task is gonna do, this is gonna sync some repositories. As you can see, there is no repo or no product at this moment. We can click on Add. And then we can select this one. So Red Hat Enterprise Linux 464. And then you can see 3 repositories. All the repositories that are inside this product will be synced every day, 3 a.m. in the morning, okay? So this will affect all the clients that you have. No, because we are going to talk about content view, but if you are registering your clients against the library using the default organization view, this is new, don't worry, we'll talk about it in a few, then yes, this can change the behavior. But this is my advice, okay? You can select the product. Let's hit Add Selected. And now your satellite will be syncing those 3 repos every single day. There are 2 things that we can do from here. One is we can select and click on Run Sync Plan, and then this will sync now. Or we can do it this way. Hit Sync Status. This is gonna move to another page called Sync Status. On Sync Status, we can see all the repositories that we have on Satellite. Let's hit Expand All. And then you can see that we have the base OS, the AppStream, and also Satellite Client. If you wish, you can sync just one repo, but I would like to select all of them. So there is this button here, Select All. Select None to clean up all of them. Select All, and you can click Synchronize. So what this is gonna do is we will start the process on Satellite, and now Satellite is gonna create some workers. Workers are those guys responsible to reach out the CDN, start downloading all the content, downloaded this to Satellite, and that's it, okay? We can see that the client is already done, and the base OS and AppStream are still moving on. Fun fact here. While this is syncing, let me go on this page and show one thing to you. We can click on Products. We can click on top of Red Hat Enterprise Linux x86-64. Let me get the latest one. We can see this was already synced 1 minute ago. Let's click on top of this. So in this page, we can see some additional information specifically about this repository, the source. So this is coming from CDN. My main point here is about download policy. So in download policy, we can see on demand or immediate. For all the Red Hat repositories, the default behavior is on demand. If you are syncing a third-party repository, the default will be immediate. And what is the difference? On demand, Satellite is going to download only the metadata, okay? By metadata, I mean maybe 200, 300 megabytes, and that's it. We will not download all the RPM packets. So Satellite downloading the metadata will be able to create the whole infrastructure on Satellite side. Once the client requests a new package or packages, Satellite will be able to read the CDN, download that RPM, and this is seamless. Download that RPM, deliver to the clients, and put in the correct place, okay? As a consequence, the time to sync this content is pretty fast because now we are downloading only the metadata. If you are syncing the third party, as I mentioned before, this will be immediate. And assuming that your third-party repository has like 30 gigs, you have to wait your satellite download 30 gigs prior to move it on and do all the necessary administrative steps, okay? Like creating a new content view, this kind of stuff. Let's wait for this to finish and then we'll be able to move it on to the next step. Just to complement here what I mentioned before, and this is a common question that I have from different customers. They say, well, you mentioned that Satellite is gonna download only the metadata and this should be faster. So indeed, Satellite will be downloading the metadata. However, Satellite needs to do some additional configuration and preparation in the background, okay? So this will spend some additional time. As you can see here, for the base OS, this process was near to 10 minutes. For sure, Satellite downloaded a few megabytes of the metadata, but was also preparing everything just to move it on with Satellite, like creating content views and composite content views, and providing all the information about packets and modules and everything else that you can imagine on the repository, okay? Because of that, we have this time just to conclude this process. Here we are. Now, let's take a look on this. We can see on the app stream, 36,000-ish packets were added. The number of errata, 3,527. For the base OS, we have 15,000-ish, almost 16,000, and errata 1,956. For the satellite client, we have 26 packets and 6 errata. Okay, and this is awesome. This is great. So if we take a look in our flow, again, now our repository are enabled and synced. And then you can see this is slightly different from before. Before I kept here just create content view. And there is one more thing called composite content view. In general, when talking to my customers, I used to explain both. So this is valid. I totally agree that should be here in this video as well. And I will explain the difference. So let's move it on to content view. So how to create a content view? We can click on content view. Let's create a new content view. Let me put CV RHEL 8. Or should I use CV underline, something like that? You can use whatever you want. This is pretty straightforward, something that can track the repository. The point about nomenclature here is best practice. If you like to looking for all the content views that you have, you can search by CV or something start by CV. If you're looking for composite content view, you can then looking for CCV. This will help you to track easily once you have like multiple hundreds of content views and composite content views. So this is my advice, but no reason to keep one specific name or structure, okay? You can see that I'm selecting content view. No need to click on this solve dependencies. Let's click on create content view. And once we are here, what will happen is, hey, show me the repositories. And now I can see all the repositories that are available. Attention point to this is status column, because you can see that they are not added. I can also easily filter down by this drop down menu. If I would like to see all the repositories that are already in this repository, I can select added or not added. Then I can see everything that is out of my content view. So yeah, I would like to select all of them. Some tricks here. I can select all of them and then click on add repository. If I would like to select just one, I can click on this checkbox and then came here and click on add. So let's take a look on all of them. In fact, I don't need to check here. I can just click on this one and hit add. And then we can see the second one that was added. And the filter changed automatically to added. Let's pick this one as well. And we can click on added repository. Okay. Now I have all the 3 repositories on this content view. Once I added a repository in my content view, I have to publish. I can also promote this one to my library. So if you wish, you can put a description, new content view. This information will be on the database. You can search by this later on if you wish. Then you have the details, just a review details, and let's hit finish. Comparing with versions before Satellite 6.9, this process is faster than the previous version because we moved it on from POP 2 to POP 3. The architecture is totally different. A lot of information we used to keep in the file system, and now this is on the database on Postgres. Then yeah, this is flying very fast. This is amazing. Which means if you have multiple repositories on this content view, like the response time here will be pretty fast. Different from older versions. Alright, we have the content view now. So let me show you this. Let's click on content view. I have this CV RHEL 8. This is the content view. You can see the version 1.0 on library. Once we click on the content view, we have some additional information. For example, the version, the environment that this content view was exported, the number of packets, the number of errata, bug fix, security advisor, enhancement, and some information about modules as well. Okay, so let's click on version 1. From here, we can see repository information. If we click on RPM package, we can see all the packets that we have, RPM package groups, errata, and module stream. Let's just do one recap here about this content view. So let me filter by HTTPD on all repositories of this content view. Okay. The version that we have is 2.4.37. Let's assume that by any reason Red Hat released the version 2.4.38 or 39 or 2.4.40, for instance. Satellite will be able to download that package. That package will be available on Satellite, but not in this content view. So once the server or the content host is consuming content from this content view, those machines will be able to see only this specific version, okay? And this is the standard behavior to any package that we have. Like this can be for Vim, this can be for HTTP, Nginx, or any other package that we have in this specific content view. Okay, talking about content view and composite content view, what is the deal? When we have the content view and I have my content host, the content host is able just to access one specific content view in that time frame. Which means if I have multiple content views, I will not be able to set more than one at the same time. So because of that, we have composite content view. And how composite content view works. Let me create one composite content view. Let's click on create content view. Composite content view, RHEL 8. Now I will select this one, composite content view. There is this feature auto publish that I like a lot. I'm gonna talk about this one in a few, but let's select this one and create a content view. Different from content view, composite content view is gonna pick the content views. So you saw that in this content view I have 3 repos. Let's suppose that I have another content view that is getting packaged from Apple, for instance, a third-party repository. So I can pick this one, I can pick Apple, I can pick any other repository that you wish. And at the end of the day, your content host will be able to point to this composite content view. So what will happen is your content host now will be able to see the content of this content view, 3 repositories, plus Apple, plus any other content view that you add in this composite content view, okay? And then check this out. The latest version of this content view was 1.0 5 minutes ago. What Satellite is recommending is, hey, would you like to keep stuck on this version? or always update to the latest version. Remember that auto update. What will happen is all the time when I update my content view, I do some change and publish a new version. This composite content view will see that action. That action will trigger this composite content view to create a new version with the new contents, pointing to the latest version. I can set that specific version, minor version, if you wish for any reason, or I can always be pointing to the latest version. This is most common, most used by our customers, and works pretty well. So let's check this out, and let's hit add. There we go. Let's move it on. Once you know already the composite content view concept, so now you know a little bit more about composite content view. Returning to the main page of content views, you can see this is not published yet, which means there is no content. Like, we created a composite content view, we pointed to the content views, but we didn't publish. Which means if I have one content host trying to get content from this composite content view, this will be zero package, okay? How to fix that? Let's click on the composite content view. We can check here content views. We have one content view, the configuration, publish new version. And then again, I can promote, this will be on library. If you wish, you can put a description. I will not. And review the information. Let's hit finish. Perfect. Now I have my composite content view. We can click here once again just to take a look. This is the main page of content views. I can click on top of composite content view. The version is 1. And this is the summary of the information that I have on all the content views associated with this guy. If you take a look on this tab, I have only one content view associated with this composite content view at this moment. But I can combine, I can add multiple content views. Let's click on the version 1. And from here I can see like that main information, but now like collecting information or combining the information from multiple sources or multiple content views, okay? So the repository is presenting just 3 because I have 3 in that content view. But as I mentioned before, if I have a different content view with more repositories, this number is supposed to be different, okay? Same for RPM, same for RPM package group, errata, and module stream. That's great. Now, this definitely deserves your subscribe if you are not already. And tell me in the comments if you are already familiar with content views, composite content views, if you use this in your environment. In the content views also we can play with filters, which is pretty cool. I will not go on this path right now, but I definitely can create another video about filters. Let me know if you already use it, if you enjoy, if you're facing problems. Definitely this will help me to drive my presentation. Okay, let's take a look on the flow one more time. We just created the content view and composite content view. Now the next step is create the activation keys. How to do that? Let's click on content, left menu, activation keys. As I mentioned before, the main idea of activation keys or activation key is to provide you the ability to register your content host with no interaction. Like, you can just call a command, pass in that activation key, and that's it. Your machine will get registered against satellite. As we can see on this page, there is no activation key at this moment. Let's hit create activation key. RHEL. Let me create using this name. The environment will be library, and the content view. Take a look. I have content view RHEL 8. I have the composite content view RHEL 8, and I have this one, the full organization view. Let's remember, a few minutes ago I spoke about the process. So we have the satellite, we enable the repository, we sync the content. Even if I do not create a content view, there is one content view, the full organization view, that will be there by default. What's the deal with this content view? If I assign one content host to that content view and my satellite sync content, that content host will be able to see the new contents. Okay, eventually this is what the customer are looking for, eventually not. So because of that, we recommend always to be using content view or composite content view. So in this one, we are going to set up the composite content view, and let's hit save. Alright, Walduro, what can I do on activation keys? One thing is system purpose. You can set the service level of your machine, if this is self-support or not. You can tell if this is a development, production, DR site. You can set some role, if this is a server, workstation, compute nodes. So system purpose is definitely gonna help you on different ways along the course, okay? Release version. If you have one minor release, for instance 8.5 or 8.7 or 8.1, then definitely you can set the release version. We picked just one version, RHEL 8, which is the latest version. We can set 8 here, or we can let it blank. This is going to work as well, okay? So moving on, we can see repository sets. And what is that? I like to hit this button because this is going to filter on the life cycle and the content view that you are, just to avoid some sort of confusion. Okay, in this case I have a small set of repositories, but eventually you can use this filter to help you out. So basically you can see we have the upstream and the status is enabled by default, which means once I register the machine using this activation key, this repository will be enabled by default. If I type yum repo list-v, I'll be able to see the upstream. The same is valid for base OS. You can see this is enabled. Walduro, what about the satellite client? Satellite client will be disabled by default. When I type yum repo list-v, this repository will not be there. However, this repository is there to be enabled. If I type subscription manager repos -- enable and pass the name of this repository, I'll be able to enable it. So the deal here is this. I don't want this. I don't want to do anything manual. I would like to register the machine against this activation key, and I'd like to set this repository as enabled by default. So we can check this one, select the action, and override to enable. And now, anytime that I register my machine using this activation key, this repository will be enabled by default because I select this one in the activation key level. Okay. One question that is very common: Walduro, if I change this one in my activation key, all the servers that are registered on this activation key or using this activation key will be affected? Not at all. This is valid only for new registration. Okay. Perfect. Next is host collection. What is host collection? This is a bonus. Normally I don't add this one here, but let's set it because you totally deserve it. So host collection. Let's suppose that I have a patch in the next weekend, and then I'll say patch the weekend will be 31st. Let's say the weekend is 31st, and then I'll hit save. Then I can come over here, I can select the host, I can do some filters, I can apply, and once I select the server, just for demo purpose, and once I have at least one server, I can do a lot of stuff. So package installation, removal, errata, host collection membership, module stream management, system purpose management, and changing lifecycle environment. I can change lifecycle environment, I can change content views, I can do this in a batch. So let's suppose this weekend 31st, I have a patch and I have to patch 100 servers, 1,000 servers, 10,000 servers. I can just hit this button and this process will be valid for all those servers. Okay, this is something that we can do with host collection. So let me remove this from here, and once I have a host collection, the host collection can be here. Let's suppose that you like to create a host collection for Azure, Google, database servers, application servers, JBoss, Nginx, or something like that. Definitely you can, okay? And this association will happen automatically during the registration process. And finally, association. Association means all the machines that were registered using this activation key. Once I didn't proceed with any registration, there is no entry in this step, okay? So, all right, we just covered activation key. If we come back to our flow, look at that. We just created the activation key. And finally, we have the create a global registration. So let's take a look on global registration. We have hosts on the left menu, register host. How this works? Assuming that I have multiple organizations or multiple locations, I can select over here, okay? If I'm using host group for any different reasons, I can select host group over here. At this moment, I'm not using. By the way, let me know if you are familiar with host group, all the features, everything that you can do on host group. And if yes, let me know what do you think. Operating system, I can pick the operating system if I wish. If not, this information will come by the activation key as well. So I have my activation key here. Let's say that I have multiple activation keys. Can I combine them? Definitely yes. I can select more than one activation key at a time. Okay. Insecure. I like this one because what will happen is, let's suppose that I have a client and that client will try to connect to satellite, and assuming that you don't have the CA on that client, this is going to fail, assuming that you are going to try access via HTTPS. So what Insecure is going to do is just for the registration process, this is going to access the satellite HTTPS, passing the -- insecure, which means, hey, let's skip the SSL transaction here. Let me just move it on, collect the information, proceed with the registration. But the after will be 100% using the certificates and SSL, okay? This is just for the registration process. So in advanced, okay, we can see a lot of stuff like RHEL or remote execution. This is set by default, yes. This will inherit from the host parameters, okay? Yes. Insights, this is set to yes. Let me see, RHEL pool mode, this is set to no. As you can see here, there are some additional steps. Long ago, when using Catelo CA Consumer, installing the RPM and then using the activation key just to register the machine, let me show you what that looks like. You should install the Catelo CA Consumer package, and after that, just execute this command. Subscription Manager, register, the organization, Acme, activation key, the name of the activation key. This used to work, but let's say that you like to set up one specific location. We cannot set the location from here, okay? Let's say that you would like to set a host group. We cannot set a host group using Subscription Manager. So this should be the second command. Let's suppose that I like to set up RHEL, remote execution. I cannot do this from this way as well. So third command. Insights, fourth command. See, now this is a combination. I'm combining a lot of additional stuff, a lot of additional services that you can do just in a single shot. This will create a token. So this process is going to create something that we call a curl command. If I just hit generate, you can see this command over here. I would like to also include force. I can click one more time on generate. The force was added over here as a true. And by force, I mean, let's suppose that you have one content host that is already registered on satellite. Then if you try to register, we'll complain, hey, this machine is already registered. You have to pass -- force, something like that. This will ensure that that machine will get unregistered and proceed with the new registration. Also, there is this token lifetime. By default, this will be 4 hours, and after 4 hours, that token will get expired. Let's suppose that you like to use this in your automation process. So you can hit the unlimited, and this is gonna give you a token that is unlimited. So this will live forever, okay? You can also do some additional steps like update the packets. Most of the time this is a bit dangerous, so we don't want customers updating some packets during the registration process. You can also install any package during this registration. You can also click on those question marks, and then they will provide you some help. That's perfect. Let's now hit generate. Let's copy this one, and this is the output. So something like this. With that, we can copy. Let me put this window in window size. I have a client over here. This client is a RHEL 8. And then check this out. Let me give you a spoiler alert. Let's comment this one. This is a curl command that is passing a lot of parameters to satellite, and at the end of the day there is this pipe bash, so we can remove the pipe bash and put pipe less. And check this out. This is a bash script, so if you enjoy bash script, feel free to take a look in my channel. I'll put the card here. There are some videos about bash. Basically what this is doing is setting a lot of steps that will be executed in your client. Okay, we'll check some parameters, some files, we'll set this is the CA certificate, we'll deploy the CA certificate. We'll do a lot of stuff, a lot of cool stuff. So let's put the bash here back. Eventually, if there are some additional packets like a TLCA consumer, if your machine is already registered on any satellite, these will be removed automatically by this script, so you don't need to worry about that. Just execute the command and that's it. This script is gonna do everything for you. All the cleanup process, all the registration, all the files that should be in place. This script is gonna take care of it. We are back and check this out. Now the machine is identity registered properly against satellite. The organization is Acme. This is the server name. We have this UID. We are consuming content from library and the composite content view, RHEL 8. If we take a look on yarn repo list-v, we remember that we set 3 repositories, the base OS, AppStream, and satellite client. And we can see all of them over here. 69 megabytes, 30 gigs, 115 gigs. And definitely if we try to install DNF install iptref, we can install it. So let's give it a try. Yes. Yeah, the client was able to download iptref from satellite, specifically from the base OS repository. iptref, and there you go. Okay, once the machine is registered, you can think about something like, well, I have my satellite 6.7, 6.10, 6.9, whatever old version. I don't want it to do the migration or the upgrade, 6.11, 12, 13, 14, all of them. Can I spin up a new satellite server like 6.14 or 6.15, the latest version, and just follow this process and using this curve to get the clients from the old satellite to the new one? Definitely you can. This is something that we have a lot of customers doing, and definitely we recommend this. Okay, basically keep this one, generate a token as unlimited, and keep this one, and once you have it, this is definitely everything that's gonna do all the service for you. You can use always the web UI to change some information, but let's suppose I have a second activation key. I can just change the names over here, or I can combine with comma multiple activation keys, and then that's it. Basically, I can change anything from this one, from this piece. I can also keep this hash or token. This is a token that will be unlimited on my machine. And basically that's it. I can do a lot of stuff. I can do a lot of automation using this piece of URL over here. Okay, just keep this in mind. Okay, if we come back to this flow, let's do a recap real quick. Base OS was installed, RHEL 8.z, latest version. We install satellite, install the packets, and also run, execute a satellite installer with the correct flags, just deploy your satellite. We import the manifest. I'm not covering the process to create the manifest in the customer portal, but this is very simple. You can just follow the steps in our documentation. Enable and sync repos. Well, Diro, I saw that you did this for RHEL 8. Can I do the same for RHEL 7, RHEL 9, RHEL? Yes, same process, very similar, okay? Create content view and composite content view. We covered how content view works, composite content view. I'll give you one more bonus, which will be, let's add a third-party repository, and then we can see how easy it is when you have already the composite content view in place, okay? Even if you're not thinking about third-party repos or different repos, composite content view is always a great plan since the beginning, okay? Activation key. So activation key is very powerful. So we saw this in action, and the global registration. So global registration will allow you to do a lot of additional steps. Yeah, definitely I would recommend you to use that, okay? So let's suppose that I have my environment and I'm already familiar with Apple or Zabbix. Zabbix is a monitoring tool. So let's take a look on this. Zabbix repo RPM. We can check this one. Let me bump a little bit the font size. Okay, this is the Zabbix page. We can get the GPG key. And here we have the GPG key. Okay, I need this one on satellite in order to sync and provide properly this package to the client. So I have this one. Let's come back to my satellite. Oh, let's use this one here. Content credential. Let's create a new one. Let's paste that content. The type is GPG key, and this is Zabbix. And then save. Okay, now I have this little guy over here. Now I would like to sync the Zabbix 6.5 for RHEL 8, 64 bits. Okay, this is the place because I can see the repo data over here. This is the URL I'm looking for. So I can return to products. See, you totally deserve a bonus. Let's create a new product. Zabbix. We can also select the GPG key already over here. Let's hit save. And from here, let's add a new repository. Zabbix RHEL 8. The type will be yum. And the stream URL, I'm gonna paste that link, okay? I don't care about all the rest. Not at this moment. Let's hit save. Then we have the repository over here. We can just sync now. So what this process is doing now is it is getting that information that we just passed to the repository. It is connecting to the external repository and will sync all the content from this specific repository. If we take a look on repository, let me show you this. Remember before at Red Hat, the download policy was on demand. And as I told you, for third-party repos, this will be always immediate. Okay, great. We can see the package, 253 packets, all the steps, and this is good. So our client does not have any access to RHEL yet. So what we have to do is go to Content View. And then the Composite Content View is the one that I'm using. However, I'm using this Content View. I can click on Content View, Repositories. I can set to all. And look at that. Now I have Zabbix. The main point here is, well, dear, this is a content view of RHEL 8. And let's suppose that I would like to keep this only for Red Hat repositories. I don't want to mess it up with this. I would like to create another content view just for RHEL or Zabbix or third-party repos, for instance. Then yes, as you wish. We can click on Create Content View. Content View third-party. This will be a content view. I can select all. At this moment, I will just hit Zabbix, and then we can see the number of packets. This is not added yet, so let's add the repository. Let's publish a new version. Let's promote and next, finish. Okay, this content view was created. Let me show you the problem that we are solving with Composite Content View. If we go to Host Content Hosts, this is the client that we have. Let's click over there. Let's click on Repository Sets. In this Repository Set tabs, we can see this selection, Limit to Environment. If I show all, I can see the Zabbix, but this is not on this environment. We are just consuming content from that specific content view. So in other words, I can see only this set of repository. Okay, let me drive you to one legacy that maybe will be a bit clear. Legacy UI and content. Okay, this is very similar. At this moment, I can pick the content view. I can select the composite content view, or I can select the content view of third party. See, I'm not able to select both at the same time. Can be this one or this one. So the main goal of the composite content view is that I'll be able to combine content views. So let's come back to the content view. Let's now click on our composite content view. In this content view, version 1, I know that we have just 3 repositories and 1 content view. Okay. Let's click on Content View. Now let's select this one and add Content View. And again, I would like to always be using the latest version. Now let's hit Publish New Version. I would like to promote and finish. Look how beauty it is now. We can see this composite content view. 2 components, like we have the content view RHEL 8 and the content view third party. So when we see repositories, now we can see 4 instead of 3. This is the AppStream, base OS, the client, and also Zabbix. And will not be necessary to change anything in our client because this information is already over there. Okay, the client is already consuming this composite content view. So if we take a look on the client, yarn repo list -v, maybe the repository will not appear here because that repo can be disabled by default. I'm not sure. Let's take a look. Satellite clients, base OS, and AppStream. However, let's take a look on this. Repos -- list. This is a big bonus. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell. Share with your friend that is managing the satellite. Look at that. We have here Zabbix. Zabbix is not enabled. This is disabled. Odero, can I enable this? Definitely yes. Subscription manager, repos -- enable. Let's get the repo ID. The repository now is enabled, or at least once this command finish. Let's rerun the same one, the repo list, just to be sure that the repository is enabled. We can see now. And yarn repo list -v. This should be presenting all the repos in a single shot now. We can see this already over here. And Zabbix, 253 packets, 474 megabytes. This is coming from our satellite, and that's it. This is amazing from that specific composite content view. Odero, just to finish, if I use my activation key, and let's say that I would like to set this repository enable by default, can I do that? Definitely you can. Repository set, limit to environment. Now we can see the Zabbix. You can see the Zabbix is disabled by default, okay? Let's select this one. Let's override to enable. And let's rerun our command. So what this is gonna do is unregister the client. See, I'm registering the client from the satellite server. System was unregistered. There is no Catalog consumer, so nothing to remove. Check some information under your etc yarn.repos.d. The system has been registered, and this is a new registration against the satellite. This is the client name. We're going to install insights, install some dependencies if necessary. It will not be because this machine was registered before and all the packets were installed prior. And all the packs were installed in that specific time frame. And we are back. So at this moment, if we take a look on Subscription Manager Identity, we can see that we are consuming the same composite content view, yarn repo list -v. Look at that, how beauty. This is just how simple it is to be working with composite content view. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. The message was pretty straightforward about best practice and recommendations of satellite installation. Definitely you saw different approaches about content view, composite content view, activation keys. Let me know in the comments if you have something different, if you're approaching differently from what I mentioned here. I will love to hear how you're doing and maybe some problems that you're facing. So feel free to leave in the comments and I'll do my best to help you out. Okay? So see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.